Imagine waking up every day doing the same thing, seeing the same results, and calling it life. Most people will spend their entire lives like this. Average, safe, unnoticed, but deep down, you know you're meant for more. What's holding you back isn't luck. It's the choices you make every single day. And right now, right this moment is your chance to break free. Most people stay average because they're comfortable. It's that simple. And yet it's one of the hardest truths to face. Comfort feels safe. It's predictable. You know what to expect. You know how to survive. And in that predictability, the mind whispers, this is enough. But let me tell you, nothing extraordinary is ever born in comfort. Nothing that changes your life, your future, or your destiny ever emerges from a place where everything feels easy and familiar. Comfort is the silent killer of dreams. It's not dramatic. It doesn't scream. It creeps in quietly, convincing you that playing small is safe, that avoiding risk is wise, and that settling is normal. And before you even notice, it has changed your potential. Think about it. Every breakthrough in history, every innovation, every life that inspires others came from someone stepping out into uncertainty. They walked into fear and discomfort because they understood one powerful truth. Your growth is on the other side of resistance. And yet, most people won't do it. Why? Because leaving the comfort zone requires effort, courage, and the willingness to fail. It requires confronting the unknown, facing rejection, and risking embarrassment. It requires saying no to easy and yes to challenge. But here's the thing, the moment you step into discomfort, you begin to expand, you discover capabilities you didn't know existed. You break patterns that have kept you small. And every small step outside that safe bubble compounds into something unstoppable. The tragedy is that comfort feels so good that people often mistake it for security. They confuse routine for progress, habit for achievement, and survival for living. They measure life by how easy it is rather than how alive it makes them feel. And the more time they spend in that bubble, the more average their results become. The life they dreamed of, it doesn't arrive while they're waiting for things to be perfect, safe, or convenient. It only comes when they dare to leave the familiar behind, when they challenge themselves to feel the discomfort, to embrace the unknown, and to risk the ordinary for the extraordinary. Fear of failure is one of the biggest chains holding people in average. It's subtle, yet powerful, whispering in your mind every time you think about taking a risk, chasing a dream, or stepping into the unknown. Most people will do anything to avoid failure. They'll stay small, play it safe, and convince themselves that trying and losing is worse than never trying at all. But here's the hard truth. Failure isn't the enemy. Avoiding it is. Failure is simply feedback. It's information. It's the universe's way of showing you that you're stretching, learning, and growing. And yet, so many people run from it, trapped in the illusion that success is about perfection, about never falling, about looking strong to the outside world. They build invisible walls around their lives, walls made of fear. And those walls slowly shrink their vision, their courage, and their potential. Think about every great achiever you know. The people who built empires, created breakthroughs, or changed lives. They didn't get there by playing it safe. They got there by failing over and over again, refusing to let fear stop them. Every no they heard, every setback, every mistake became fuel, not a cage. And here's the lesson. Fear of failure doesn't just stop action. It stops possibility. It convinces you that waiting, hesitating, and avoiding risk is smarter than acting boldly. It's a silent thief that steals time, energy, and momentum, keeping you trapped in a life that feels comfortable enough, that feels but never remarkable. The irony is that failure is not only inevitable, it's necessary. It's the proving ground where you discover resilience, strength, and creativity. Every time you push past fear, you prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. And the more you lean into it, the less power it holds over you. Courage is born not in the absence of fear, but in acting despite it. But most people choose to wait. They wait for the perfect conditions, the right timing, or a guarantee that everything will work out. And while they wait, life passes them by. Success doesn't wait for comfort. It doesn't wait for certainty. It comes to those willing to risk, willing to stumble, and willing to get back up again and again. Most people stay average because they have no clear vision for their lives. They drift from one day to the next, reacting to circumstances instead of creating their reality. Without a compelling reason, without a burning purpose that drives them, it's easy to get lost in the noise, to settle for mediocrity, and to confuse motion with progress. People think they're moving forward because they're busy, because they're doing something, but activity without direction is like running on a treadmill. It feels like effort, but you're not getting anywhere. The truth is that clarity is power. When you know exactly what you want, why you want it, and what it will take to get it, fear loses its grip, distraction loses its appeal, and hesitation becomes irrelevant. Lack of clarity, on the other hand, leaves you paralyzed, wandering aimlessly while life passes you by. Purpose isn't just a vague idea or a dream you think about on Sundays. It's a vivid, burning vision that consumes your thoughts, ignites your energy, and gives meaning to every action you take. It's what separates people who stay average from people who achieve extraordinary results. The average person is satisfied with vague goals, like I want to be successful or I want to be happy, without defining what that actually looks like or feels like. They leave everything to chance, to luck, to other people, and they wonder why their life never seems to expand. A clear purpose changes everything. It focuses your attention, shapes your decisions, and forces you to act with intensity, urgency, and passion. It transforms mundane tasks into steps towards something greater, and it makes sacrifice feel worthwhile because it's in service of something meaningful. And here's the thing most people don't realize. Clarity and purpose aren't luxuries, they're necessities. They are the foundation upon which extraordinary lives are built. Without them, you're like a ship without a rudder, tossed around by the winds of other people's opinions, societal expectations, and fleeting trends. With them, even the hardest obstacles become challenges to overcome, setbacks become lessons. And every effort compounds toward a vision so powerful that average isn't even in your vocabulary. The problem isn't a lack of talent or opportunity. It's a lack of alignment between what people want deep down and the actions they take every day. Most stay average because they have never defined the why that would push them beyond comfort, beyond fear, and beyond the ordinary. One of the most overlooked reasons people stay average is the environment they surround themselves with. The people you spend the most time with, the media you consume, the culture you live in, it all shapes your beliefs, your habits, and ultimately your results. Most people underestimate just how powerful this influence is. We are social creatures, and our minds are wired to absorb the norms, expectations, and attitudes of those around us. If you are constantly in an environment where fear is celebrated over courage, excuses are normalized over accountability, and comfort is prized over growth, you will absorb those patterns without even realizing it. Your environment silently dictates what you believe is possible, what you deserve, and how far you are willing to go. Look at the average life, and you'll see it reflects a compromise with surroundings rather than a commitment to potential. People blame their circumstances for mediocrity, but the truth is it's the subtle messages from daily life that shape decisions. When your circle accepts excuses, you begin to justify your own. When you are surrounded by people who avoid risk, you start to question whether your own boldness is too much. When your culture tells you that survival is enough, you forget that thriving is possible. And over time, these small, repeated influences accumulate into a life that feels safe but ultimately limited. Extraordinary people understand the invisible rules of environment. They deliberately seek influences that stretch their minds, challenge their beliefs, and demand more from them. They don't wait for inspiration to strike. They engineer it. They surround themselves with people who think bigger, who demand accountability, and who push them beyond what feels comfortable. They curate the media they consume, the conversations they participate in, and the spaces they inhabit because they know that environment can either accelerate growth or reinforce stagnation. Success rarely comes in isolation. It is rarely the result of raw talent alone. It is often the product of consistent, positive exposure mentors, communities, ideas, and experiences that expand your vision, sharpen your skills, and challenge you to rise above the ordinary. Most people, however, settle. They accept the environment they were born into, or the one they've grown comfortable with, and they wonder why change feels impossible. They forget that the walls around them are not barriers. They are choices. Every relationship, every habit, every influence is an opportunity to either reinforce average or to propel yourself toward extraordinary. The environment doesn't just shape outcomes, it shapes identity. And until you consciously choose to step into spaces, relationships, and cultures that demand excellence, your potential will remain limited by the world you let define you.